obviously they're sitting in second. But first, let's talk about Liverpool, who obviously started the day in second. Obviously, after the international break, there was a thinking around Liverpool that maybe the international break would do them some good. Players get to go away, reset with their national teams, come back refreshed, and maybe have a bit more of a pep in their step, so to speak. Ultimately, and sorry, Wayne put some notes in around this, guys, and he said, "Are the wheels falling off? Has the honeymoon period ended?" The cheeky. Anyway, I mean, it's a valid question. Bearing in mind, a lot of people will say last season's success was built on Klopp's foundations. Yep. Translated into he won it with Klopp's team. That's what a lot of people will suggest. Yeah, I still think that he added elements to that team that allowed us to go up the levels that we did. However, this team is more of a slot team now because of the departures and the incomings that have come in. Yeah, and I think now you're seeing what you probably would usually see in a new manager who usually joins a new club, because usually a new manager joins a new club when the club's not done so well, so they've got to bring in new players. Then there's got to be a period for the players to gel, the manager's philosophy to get across, so on and so forth. So it's kind of like we're seeing that in a delayed reaction. Because last season, there were no signings brought in other than Chiesa, who didn't play anyway, so might as well say there were no signings brought in. And there were no departures. The squad stayed together. So all he had to do was come in and just tweak and fine-tune elements of what was already there, right? So yeah, obviously, the big game of the weekend was the Man United game. Still the biggest fixture in the football calendar for most globally. Others will say Barcelona, Real Madrid. Others will say...
I will say Barcelona, Real Madrid.
A lot of people would say Barcelona, Real Madrid. A lot of people would also say Celtic, Rangers. A lot of people will say, Arsenal, Spurs, although I'm not sure Arsenal, Spurs is up there. Just simply because... And this is no slant on Arsenal, by the way. It's more a slant on Spurs, this is. Right. No, it is. It's more a slant on Spurs. Because if Spurs were more successful and actually were able to talk to Arsenal in regards to trophies, then when they come together, you can say, okay, this is a big one. Go on.
Who won a trophy last season?
Yeah, but what do they say? One lark doesn't make a summer, or something like that.
Have Spurs got a European trophy in their trophy cabinet?
Yes, they did. And as far as I'm concerned, they had a better season than Arsenal because they got Champions League football and they got a trophy. Arsenal got Champions League football and didn't get a trophy. So ultimately, I look at that and say, as a manager, I'm walking away from that season happier, even though it's clear. Oh, I think we've got some feedback coming through here. Even though, and finished, what was it, 17th in the league? Something like that. But anyway, let's come back to Liverpool, Man United. Again, a bit of a contentious moment, I'll say, leading up to the first goal. In the first minute of the game, Van Dijk goes up for a header with Mbeumo and also McAllister. Now, my first thing is does Van Dijk need to go in and challenge there? McAllister's challenging Mbeumo for the ball. Maybe Mbeumo beats McAllister to the ball, that's fine, but at least Van Dijk retains his shape in the back line. But he gets drawn into that midfield battle. Not only he wins the first header, but doesn't really clear the lines far enough. He takes out his own man in McAllister, elbow to the back of the head. McAllister goes down holding his head. And Buemo's turning around looking at the ref saying, hey, what about a free kick? Then he realises, there's an opportunity, and gets up and he's off. As he starts running now, ball goes out to Ahmad on the right-hand side. And Buemo runs in behind Van Dijk. The second thing that I'm thinking, Van Dijk, what are you doing? Is that he doesn't even look behind him to see what Konate's got and is dealing with. He just points to Mbeumo as if to say, Konate, that's your man. Didn't need to. The players that he was looking at was Kerkez and Ahmad. So Kerkez got Ahmad. You need to look around to see where do you need to... So he's a little bit strange. And he was trotting back, and Mbeumo just waltzes past him on the inside rim. Beautiful ball from Ahmed into Mbeumo, and Mbeumo, first-time strike. Powerful, near post, beats Mamardashvili in the Liverpool goal. Now, the question was, or the contentious part of the situation for me was, should the player have been stopped because of McAllister being holding his head on the floor, is the question.
Now, for me, my understanding in terms of refereeing and the rules is that if there's a head injury, the game should be stopped. In that situation, unbeknown whether it was a genuine injury or not, there was a head injury. So for me, it should have been stopped.
Yeah.
And I'm watching and I'm thinking, at what stage are you going to blow the whistle? And then it didn't happen. And then they've gone in and scored the goal. And I'm like, that's going to be a flashpoint.
Yeah.
Because they're going to talk about concussion protocols, they're going to talk about head injuries in footballers, they're going to talk about not taking it seriously, and someone's going to get seriously.
Yeah.
Because it then leads on to my next point in terms of how was McAllister allowed to continue playing?
So let's come back to that point around him continuing playing. What you said earlier on, though, I'm really interested in regards to the concussion protocol. Who is the judge and jury to say that player's head injury is genuine or not? But also, and it's something I've spoken to you before about, I've spoken about it on the show. What about the accountability of players? Because we do see a lot of players using the head injury aspect to get games halted when the other team is on the attack. There was a similar issue, wasn't there, last week with Arsenal and, who were they playing? Who were Arsenal playing? It definitely wasn't Fulham because that was yesterday. Can't remember, but whoever Arsenal played just prior to the international break, I think it was. Similar thing happened. Arsenal on the break, and then one of their players is in their own half holding his head, laying on the floor. And as soon as the referee blows the whistle, the player then gets up onto his feet. But the game's already stopped now and Arsenal have lost their momentum. So where is the accountability on the players to stop the play acting? Because the play acting is what could eventually lead to a player being genuinely injured on the floor with a head injury and not getting the treatment he needs quickly enough because the referee just assumes it's another attempt to try and stop the game and stop the attacking player in motion. So for me, there's accountability there on the players themselves on the pitch. But ultimately, one thing that I would say that goes, even though for me I say, yeah, game should have been stopped, one thing that I suppose goes in favour of the game carrying on was that from the moment of him falling on the ground, it was a very quick turnaround to the ball hitting the back of the net. Yeah, it wasn't like it was a 15, 20 second, 30 second, 40 second period of play where McAllister's holding his head on the floor and everyone's running around him. Literally, the play moved from that instant straight to the penalty area and goal. So that's the only thing that I can say. Maybe the referee, if it had gone on, if it had got cleared, or he'd gone out for a corner, whatever, that's when he probably would have stopped it and said, okay, let's go and have a look at McAllister. So I think it was 8 seconds between him falling on the floor and the ball hitting the back of the net. So from that point of view, I get it. It wasn't a long period of time. But as you rightly say, there needs to be some real clarity around that. Is it that if someone goes down with a head injury, the referee has to blow up within a specified period of time because that's a critical window, for example, within which the player needs to get attention? If that is, then they need to make that very clear and defined. I think at the moment in football, there's too many kind of rules with really blurry edges that can be really interpreted in different ways, in different games, in different situations. With the head protocol, they just need to make that very, very clear cut. So when the referee says, stop the game, no one's coming and arguing with him. It's the 5-second rule or it's a 10-second rule, whatever the case may be. So yeah, obviously, did I do enough there to distract from the fact that Man United took the 1-0 lead?
Nope. Tried to brush over Cunha's finish, but
yeah, right.
let's go.
I tried.
Yeah.
So yeah, Man United take the lead. Liverpool get into their stride. I wouldn't say that Liverpool really had Man United's backs against the wall. Man United actually had a really great opportunity by Bruno, who had a ball played back to him on the edge of the area. Bruno will usually pick a top corner easily. He had nobody near him. He's hitting it first time from the edge of the area. He's gone with the instep to try and curl it into the top right-hand corner. He's just clipped the outside of the post and he's gone out for a goal kick. But Liverpool were showing signs of getting back into it. Cody Gakpo, I think he hit the post 3 times throughout the game. Twice in the first half, I believe, and then once in the second half before he eventually actually got his goal. A goal which was made by the substitutes who'd come on. Wirtz didn't start the game. Florian Wirtz came off the bench and was heavily involved in the penalty area. Kind of got control of the ball in the penalty area. It was being kind of ping-ponged about. Then he kind of lays it out to Chiesa on the left. Chiesa then fires one across the floor. And Chiesa again with another assist. When will Chiesa get a chance? I don't know.
Slot don't like him.
Yeah, but what is there not to like? He's not kicking up a fuss. He looks really good around the training ground. He's always smiling and laughing. And then when he comes off the bench, he produces. What is there not to like? Especially when someone like Mohamed Salah is clearly not at the races at the moment.
You know what? I'm going to have to throw some water on myself in the break. I just think that the dip in Salah and Van Dijk's form,
Yeah.
is it that the style and tactics that Liverpool are operating in at the moment is not getting the best out of Salah, i.e. you kind of counter-attack at pace and you're going for the jugular, but at the moment Liverpool seem to be, no, we're going to keep possession of the football.
Correct.
And they're passing the ball forward, backwards, without any penetration.
That's right.
Without any end result.
Frustrating.
And Salah is kind of at the sharp end of it because his game relies on you playing in that manner, in that fashion, leaving him isolated one-on-one where he can do what he needs to do.
Playing the ball in behind the fullback for him to get onto and then get one-on-one.
Yeah. But Liverpool don't appear to be doing that.
Yeah.
My thing with Van Dijk, like when people say, "Oh, Van Dijk's the best defender in the world," he was. But from what I'm seeing at the moment, either he's got no confidence in Kirk and Canute around him, or his form starting to dip.
I think it's a little bit of both. Without a doubt. I watched.
Sorry.
Go on. Yeah, go on.
Ahmed had Kirkers on post.
Oh no, without a doubt. I've seen a lot of Van Dijk giving Kirkes a good roasting in a number of matches, even with just the simplest things where Kirkes has just chosen the wrong pass maybe, and you can see Van Dijk really kind of ripping into him. At the moment though, I think when your form is not at the top of where it needs to be, I think there needs to be more focus on your game. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be still encouraging those around you and pulling people up when they're not doing what they need to be doing. But at the moment, I think there is a slight decline in Van Dijk, which, I mean, is that not expected at the age of 33? Of course it's expected. So that's where you almost look to build a team around him to protect him a little bit more. That's where you probably need someone who can actually just patrol that space in front of the defence so he's not being exposed one-on-one every time, which seems to be a lot at the moment. You know, it seems to be a lot where a lot of players are able to get at him and Canate. Salah, agree with you again, and I think that also goes for the likes of Isaac, and it also goes for the likes of Florian Wirtz. They're two players, Isaac especially, who's used to playing at Newcastle United, where when they get possession of the ball, they look to get the ball forward early.
Not just Newcastle, he's like that at Sociedad as well.
As well, exactly.
Sociedad were not big possession football,
Correct.
Possession of the football.
Correct.
They'd hit you on the break and they'd hit you hard on the break.
And it's probably the same more or less with Sweden. Sweden are not a possession-based team. They look to get the ball forward. And when you get the ball forward quickly, it means that players like Isaac, they have more space and time to actually work in. When you're building up with that really slow tempo that Liverpool are doing at the moment, where actually, rather than play an incisive pass through, they'd rather say, no, that might get intercepted. Let's keep possession. By doing that, by the time the ball's getting anywhere near the penalty area, Isaac's space is just crowded out. There's nowhere to play balls. Now you've got to look to get crosses in, and that's anybody's game. In fact, Isaac's opportunity at the weekend, the one clear-cut opportunity he had, Canate through ball, incisive through ball, slide rule pass down the channel. He's onto it and he's away from the defence. No one's catching him. Yeah. I think Isaac, full of confidence, settled, slots that. But it was a good effort, but he was just too close to the keeper, and the keeper saved with his feet. So you could say good save from the keeper, but I think a fully functioning Isaac, I think, puts that away. Obviously 1-1 now. You're thinking Liverpool, okay, they're going to go and push for the win now, and Groundhog Day.
I need to ask Liverpool supporters. The only way Harry Maguire is going to score is if he hits his kebab head in the box.
Yeah.
How did Manchester United have 3 players unmarked
at the
on
back
the far post at that stage of the game?
I'll tell you how. So it's a corner. Bruno Fernandes taking a corner. So they've all set up in the middle of the box, for a corner to be whooped in. The corner goes short to him when on the edge of the box, who then takes a first time shot. Even when he took the shot, I thought, what an idiot. I was there chuckling, what an idiot. So I'm thinking that just wanted a nice little dink chip into the far post. You know what I mean? Let the players, but he hits a shot. It cannons off the back of somebody. I can't remember who it cannons off the back of. Goes straight back out to Bruno. As the ball cannons back out, the Liverpool, most most of the Liverpool defence still hold a fairly, but they're starting to move out. Szoboszlai was marking Harry Maguire. So as the ball comes out, Szoboszlai leaves Harry Maguire. So when the ball's lofted back in, Harry Maguire then makes the second motion now to go back in, and Szoboszlai just had cement in his boot, just stood still like this, and just watched Harry Maguire just have a free header. Watch Harry Maguire get a free head on goal, and as you said, that's the only way he was going to score, right? Yeah. So it looked worse. Well, I say it looked worse than it was. I think if you've got a defender marking Harry Maguire there, they're switched on for that recycling ball coming back in. I think Szoboszlai, he's not a defender, so you don't have that same instinct, right? But ultimately, what was that? The first back-to-back win for Mr. Amorim? Man United turning a corner.
I think I heard some reports talking about he's managed to weed out all the deadwood out of his squad, and he hasn't got them in a changing room. And, he's got a squad that believe in his methods. What methods those are, I struggle to identify. And then when I saw Dogu come on, I was like, oh gosh, are you a Manchester United player?
Yeah.
Like, are you?
Dogu, I actually like him. I actually like him. I prefer him in a left back of a four, personally, because I think that whole wing back thing means that you're not sure what is he. What is he? Is he a winger? Is he a defender? So I think he's kind of in between two places himself in that position, But ultimately, also what I'd say is, whilst Man United got their second win in a row back-to-back, the first time that's happened since Amorim's been here, I asked you if you think they've turned a corner. But personally, when you look at the stats of the game, Liverpool still bossed possession. They still had almost double the amount of shots, double the amount of corners. So in terms of and hitting the post 3 times, you're thinking if any of those goals go in, then it's back to business, right? Business as usual. But you also have to.
But you lost.
No, exactly. Hey, I was just about to give credit to Man United. I was going to say you've also got to give credit that even in that moment they stood strong, and even when it looked like the boat was creaking a little bit, they still stood strong, and then they still actually went for the winner themselves. They didn't just sit back and waste time and blow. They still actually said, at that stage of the game, they could quite easily have left Harry Maguire back, just to marshal the back for any breaks, just to hold out for a 1-1 draw. But they actually went for the win. They put the players up there for the corner, and they got their just deserved. So I'm not going to hate.
So Man United got their just deserves in their defeat of Liverpool at Anfield.
Yes.
Respect.
Yeah. Respect. Listen, that's football, right? We know Liverpool aren't playing at their optimum at the moment. We know they're not.
I like this.
We know they're not. So I'm not gonna try and hate and make any excuses. My excuse is we need to start playing with a higher tempo. I want to see the ball going forward earlier. Yeah. I want to start using the tools that are at our disposal rather than trying to play a system that sounds nice in theory but doesn't actually match the playing personnel that you have on the pitch. That's what I want.
And the other question I want to speak to you about with Liverpool's performance on Sunday. Did Ekitike come on the pitch to get sent off? Did you see how many times he left his foot in? How many people he knocked over? And I'm watching them thinking, you're a lucky lad.
Yeah, you know what it is? He's got a lot of passion, obviously. And also, remember, he feels that he's got to prove himself 10 times over in order to dislodge Isak. And that's just for the price tag alone. Because in terms of performances, he's outshining Isak on every level. Work rate, creativity, ability, confidence, everything. He looks levels above Isak at the moment. But I think he knows that he's always going to be up against it, with Isak obviously being the big money signing that's coming in the summer. What he did do when he came on and he showed some great touches. There was a ball that he got on the left, cut inside on his right, came inside, then fired a shot. He went wide, but he just showed intent. And for me, I don't want to, big him up too much, but this is Henry in the making, man. This feels like the second coming of Henry. Mark my words.
Henry?
I'm just saying, mark my words, innit? We'll record it. You can come back to me in a year's time. We'll see what Ekitike is, yeah? He's showing signs of being that good, as far as I'm concerned. I'll leave that with you to mill on that for a little while. Guys, we're going to take another break now, just coming up to 11 o'clock. We're going to go for another quick break. When we come back, we'll start... Obviously, we've got to talk about Big Ange. I mean, that's the talking point of the weekend, really. So we will talk about Big Ange after the break. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the other side.